People are already start asking questions. We'll come back to the question later on. So Junyi, I'll start with the very popular one. From CoreLogic, actually last week, we can say the data of April and March already came out. Actually, from the CoreLogic data, it shows the house price in Brisbane not only didn't decrease, but also increased. It's increased by 0.3% in April, same as Sydney. Melbourne decreased a little bit, but it's still manageable level. Well, on the media, a lot of the media has anticipated the house price is going to be going down, but from the figure, it's actually going up. Can you explain the reason behind it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Richard. Actually, back to early April last month, few people already asked me when they see the data from CoreLogic, it says Brisbane property value increased 0.56% in March. At that time, people think because it's only beginning of pandemic, that's why it doesn't cause too many negative impacts to the. Can everyone see me? The system changed. You try to record something, is it?
Yeah, I'll just put the question on the whiteboard so people can see what we are talking about.
Yeah, and early last month, when people initially saw the data in March, it has a capital gain of 0.56%. At that time, we think market has been doing quite well. Few people say it's well because the lockdown just started end of the March, and also like interstate traveling restriction only recently started. They predict April would be very bad. So let's say beginning of this month, we got the data for April. Surprisingly, the property price still going up. It's going up by 0.3%. So we can say April probably is the worst case for pandemic because lots of people stay at home. We don't have like auctions, but property price still going up. What's the reason for this? And if we look at the history of the Brisbane property market over the last 40 years, we wouldn't be surprised to see this change. So I can give you a short summary about what happened over the last 40 years. It has different pandemic, different financial crisis, and over this period, we see what's happened. So back to 1980, this was even before I was born. In 1980, between 1980 and 1987, Brisbane property price is about 50,000. So it has been quite steady over that period of time. And from 1987 to 1989, that 2 years, Brisbane property price doubled from 50,000 to 100,000. So what happened during that 2 years? I couldn't see people now. We see in 1987, we have stock crash. We know it's in October 1987. So what happened is in US, stock lost 23% on a single day. And in Hong Kong, it lost over 33% on a single day. That's the biggest lose in the history. And in Australia, over 1 month's time, it lost more than 40% as well. People at the time was very shocked. People were scared because they see they lost too much money from the share market, and they don't know what they can do. To invest on like business is risky as well because the economy was not good at the time. So people start to think what they should do. And then some people realize they should invest on properties because property is safe compared to other investments. That's why it increased the demand. From 1987 to 1989, 2 years, property price doubled. And also because 1988, we have property expo. So lots of people know Brisbane on the map. Before that, there are not too many people know Brisbane. And then from 1989 to 1995, for these 6 years, Brisbane property price increased another 50%. During this period, what we had is Australia went to recession in 1991. That is the first time went to the recession since 1990. Even in 2008, Australia didn't go to recession because to be in economic recession, that means your GDP has to be negative for 2 quarters in a row. And in 2008, it's only 1 quarter negative. So over the last 30 years, we only see 1993, Australia went to recession. But property price didn't drop. Yeah, like I said, yeah, during that period, we also had 50% increase. Plus, in 1993, unemployment rate reached 11%. That's quite high, 11%. And if we hear from Peter King, the CEO of Westpac, we know that in Australia, after this pandemic, unemployment rate probably will increase to 9%. But it will quickly drop to 7% because of job seeker by end of this year. So compared to 1993, this time was not that scary. And then we look at from 1995 to 2000. For that 5 years, Brisbane market has been quite flat. The property value hasn't gone up. The reason is because in 2000, we have Olympic in Sydney. So lots of investors, they start to invest in Sydney. And because Brisbane had a very good run before 1995, and people don't see the value to invest in Brisbane. And during that 5 years, before 2000, Sydney property value has gone up a lot. And after 2000, people realize Brisbane is so cheap. That's why they start to look at opportunities in Brisbane. And from 2000 to 2004, that's 4 to 5 years, Brisbane market doubled again, from 150,000 to 300,000. What we had during that period, 2001, we know we have, it's called dot-com bubble crash. We also have September 11. That means terrorist attack. Give people uncertainty. People was feared. It's like now. It's not like now. It was like last month. But property price still going up. And after 2003, we know we have SARS. Yeah, during SARS and the pandemic, it does affect the property price. So in 2004, property price, it dropped. But it only dropped a little bit. It probably only dropped 1 or 2%. It didn't drop too much. And from 2005 to 2008, the property price increased another 40%. Do you know the reason why? It's because after the pandemic, people realized Australia is so safe. So lots of people, they want to migrate to Australia. That's why they increased the demand in Australia, in Brisbane as well. And that's why it pushed the property price up. The same thing like for this time. After the pandemic, people realize Australia has done very well this time. It's much better than US, much better than UK. So people want to migrate. It's most likely migrate to Australia. And compared to Sydney and Melbourne, Brisbane has done very well this time. So that's why we see the big growth like after the pandemic in 2003 during SARS. And in 2008, what happened is financial crisis. And during that time, property price did drop. It dropped 7%. The reason it dropped is simply because the interest rate was too high at that time. I remember I bought my property in Sydney in 2008. At that time, the interest rate was 9%. 9%, that was very high. Think about it, yeah, during financial crisis, people lost jobs. If their rent couldn't cover the mortgage, what's going to happen? They have to sell the property. But it's not the same this time. This time, the interest, what we are paying now is under 3%. What's the rental rate? Over 4%, between 4 and 6. It's so easy for people to use the rental income to cover the mortgage, even they lose their job. Plus, this time, the government stimulus is much, much better. The government put 330 billion this time, compared to 10 billion in 2008, which is 33 times extra. It's because of these job seekers, even people couldn't go to work. They still get $750 per week. And it's probably for some people, even they go to work, they couldn't make $750. That means they got extra income for them. And also because the interest rate is so low this time, and compared to last time, it's a bit different. But anyway, in 2008, the property price, it did drop at the time. And in 2009, it quickly gone up 12%. So we see that it's because of government, the first home grant, government increase. So we see that over the last 40 years, no matter it's SARS, no matter it's Australia recession, no matter it's terrorist attack and financial crisis, property has done very well. So that's why it's not surprise for me to see last quarter, not last quarter, last month, even Australia has locked down, even we have restrictions between states, but property price is still stable.
Yeah, thanks, Winnie. That's a very detailed answer. It's a lot of facts in there. And I can see definitely from the CoreLogic's data, actually April, the financial, the people who's borrowing money is more than last year. The amount of the mortgage has been lending out is more than the last April. So it shows the activity is still there, including the refinance and also new purchases. And you mentioned, Junyi, in 2008, the property price dropped by 7% in the short term, and in 2009, it bounced back very quickly. What do you think of this time? Is it going to drop in the short term, especially in the next 6 months?
Yeah, see, no one has a crystal ball, No one can really predict what market is going to happen. But we can use our knowledge here. We have looked at what happened in March and what happened in April. The property price has a positive increase for the last 2 months. And I can't tell yet this month the property price will keep going up or not. It's like no one is able to tell that. But what we can see is that when we're doing the investment, we need to see the potential, like how much it can go up and how much it can go down, and what's the amount it can go up and what's the amount it can go down. To me, the price is affected by 2 factors. One is supply, one is demand, right? So when we look at the supply, we know in Brisbane, around CBD area, it's about 4,800 dwelling required each year. That's what we need each year. But at the moment, we only have less than 2,000 dwelling each year. That means our supply is much limited. And because of this coronavirus, it basically makes lots of projects postponed and make our supply even limited. But some other people could say maybe demand is less as well. But I can tell you that, the demand in Australia is still about the same because the population is still about the same. The difference is the population from overseas. But when you look at Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, we know in the past, not too many people from overseas, they come to Brisbane directly. They normally go to Melbourne and Sydney. That's why Melbourne, Sydney, they are hated the most. But in Brisbane, the proportion of interstate, like overseas migration, it's small amount. That's why it doesn't really affect Brisbane that much to that extent. And interstate, once the interstate restriction opens, we know Brisbane over the last 2 to 3 years, interstate migration has been the highest. It's because of the affordability, right? In Sydney, if you buy the property like this one, you probably can only buy in Parramatta, like 30 kilometers from CBD. But in Brisbane, in Gold Coast, you spend that much money, you can get a property like this one behind me. Why people spend that much money staying in Sydney, stuck in the traffic, to get about the same amount of money, but much worse quality house and not good premium location. If they use the same amount of money in Brisbane, better house, similar income, why not? That's why people start to move to Brisbane. And also during the pandemic things, lots of people, they can't go out. What they do, they stay at home, they make babies. So we will have baby boom as well. These things, so that means the demand is not less. The demand could be higher because once after the pandemic finished, people probably wouldn't like to go to Sydney and Melbourne because one thing is because the migration criteria in Sydney and Melbourne is quite high. It's easier to come to Brisbane. The second thing, because Brisbane over the last few years, we have lost of infrastructure in Brisbane. For example, we have Queen's Wharf. That's the biggest casino in South Hemisphere. This can bring lots of opportunities. It's not just casino. It got big shopping area, and it got lots of 5-star, 6-star hotels, and also like lots of other things as well to bring the economy, boost the economy. And also we have the airport. The airport will be upgraded, finished very soon as well. And this will be the capacity like Singapore airport, Hong Kong airport. If it doesn't have population as a support, why government spend their money to do this kind of infrastructure? And also we have cross-river rail, like a Brisbane Metro, all these things. And all these things, they create jobs. We know like people in Queen's Wharf projects, even the handyman, the carpenter, they can make how much? That's 300,000 a year, is it? I think, yeah, that's what I read from the news.
300.
That much money, 300,000 they can make, you know, as a handyman. Why people don't come to Brisbane? So these things increase the demand in Brisbane. So the price is affected by, you know, and I see that in long term or in the mid term, Brisbane will perform much, much better. And in the short term, maybe the price, I can't tell here, but based on what I've seen over the last 2 months, it's very unlikely. But no one has crystal balls. But we can see property investment is a long-term game, and no one just buy the property for 1 or 2 months. And if you hold a property for 6 months, I can tell you that property price will be different. Yeah.
All right, that's a very detailed answer again. Yeah, definitely we can see Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane are different markets. Like you said, the new immigration coming into Australia, a lot of them will choose Sydney and Melbourne. And according to the data from the CoreLogic, again, in the CBD of Sydney, they've got 36% of people renting rely on the international students and the new immigrations. But here in Brisbane, it's only 2%. So we are not as bad as Sydney and Melbourne. So by saying that, some people are saying, you know, in 2008, if we trace back, not the whole property market get affected. I know across averagely, the price dropped by 7%, but not every individual suburb dropped by 7%. Let's see if the price is going to drop this time. What type of properties and what sort of properties you think will be impact the most, and what sort of property is going to be holding stronger?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Richard. If we look at this here, in 2017, April changed the lending restrictions. At that time, Sydney and Melbourne, the property price dropped 10%. And Brisbane only dropped 3%. So because Brisbane over the last many years, the property price has been quite stable. It increased, but not that much compared to Sydney and Melbourne. So when things change and Brisbane market, you know, is stronger, you know, to absorb these changes, that's why it hasn't really affected Brisbane market. For example, for instance, if the price does drop, I believe the property at higher end, like the price over 1 million, will affect the most. Because for these properties, normally it's like wealthy people. They probably lost some money from share stocks. They need to have money for their business or for their shares. They probably need to sell their properties. So these expensive properties, maybe the price will likely to drop more compared to the property more affordable. For the property price, you know, less than 700,000, right? Think about it. If people go to rent a property, how much they pay? They pay about 5%, 4%, right? And to borrow the money from the bank, they only pay, as owner-occupier, they only pay 2.2%, 2.1%, like they can fix the rate for 3 years. And you only borrow 80%. So roughly it's about like 20%. It's roughly only 2% of your purchase price as a mortgage. If anyone doesn't know how this calculation is done, you are welcome, you know, to contact the people who invite you to join this webinar. And our someplace strategists can do the cash flow for you. You will see that the money you pay for the rent is much more expensive than the rent you pay to the bank. That's why the demand for this kind of property is quite strong. And it's very, very unlikely, you know, for this property price going to drop. Yeah, that's in my view. And also, like what I said, Sydney, Melbourne, because they have lots of overseas buyers, they probably affect the most. And when I read the news, the most, I think, the one I have read so far, I think reliable one is the one from Financial Review. They predict the property price, it could drop like maybe up to 10%, maybe. Lots of people read this, but they didn't mention it's Brisbane, Sydney, or Melbourne. It doesn't mention it's a property in which area. It's an expensive property or it's a medium range property. But from the history, from what we know, from what we see, we know that the property under 700,000 is quite stable. Yeah, in my view.
Cool. That's a really good answer. You mentioned before you yourself invest in Sydney in 2008 or 2007, isn't it? So based on your own experience, what can you say to the investors this time based on your own experience? What is your suggestions? And what did you learn, or I should say, what did you learn in investing in 2008? Maybe that's...
what I learned is like people who can handle the fear can be the successful investors. It's only for the people who can handle the fear. Yeah, of course, people can handle the fear. That means they need to have the knowledge to understand the market, to understand the supply, demand, to understand the population, to understand the infrastructure and the job opportunities. And in 2008, I remember I bought the property at the beginning of 2008. At that time, I was investing shares as well. I was investing Rio Tinto at that time. The Rio Tinto shares is about $110 at that time. And then in early 2009, the share price dropped to $30 per share. So think about how many percent, that's about 80% drops, right? And when we look at the currency, because I'm Chinese, so I know at the time, beginning of 2008, $1 Australian is equivalent close to 7 Chinese yuan. Early 2009 is equal to 4.3 Chinese yuan. So currency drops a lot, shares drop a lot, lots of business shut down. What about my property? I bought a townhouse in Parramatta. The price I purchased is $355,000. In 2009, early 2009, my neighbor is a Shanghai News. She bought the property for $350,000. It's $5,000 loss for 1 year during the financial crisis. Not during that, 2008 financial crisis. But $5,000, how much rent? That rent is about $30,000 a year. So I saved $30,000 rent, but the property only dropped $5,000. And also, what I realized after 2009, like after the beginning of 2009, property price goes up, bounce back very quickly. As I mentioned to you, about 12%. So people who look for the bottom of the market, it's not possible. I can tell you, no one can critique the bottom of the market, and no one is able to buy at the bottom of the market. If they do, it's purely because of luck. And if we look at the bottom of the market, maybe has already passed because we see March property price increase, April property price increase, probably already passed. If it's not passed, let's see, probably bottom of the market in 2 months' time, right? Same as 2008, dropped 7%, right? Even I don't think it's likely because the interest rate, because of the government support. Let's say 7%. But you get 5% rate of return, right? So 7% minus 5%, the difference is only 2%. It's not big. It's not a big loss, it's only 2%. Is people able to hear me clearly? I think someone feedback is it has some noise.
I can't see the feedback. Let me stop sharing my screen for 1 second so I can see the feedback.
Is everyone able to hear me clearly? What about Lena and Sally? Yes? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you very clearly, yes.
Okay, that should be okay. Because I saw a message pop out just now.
Okay. Cool.
It's all good?
Oh, good. Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah. So what happened is like people looking for the bottom of the market. What's going to happen? They are probably going to miss out the bottom. This is very, very lucky because, for example, if now it's already bottom of the market, if like people looking for the bottom of the market, yeah, we see the property price increase last month and increase again now. And if the bottom was last year, people already missed out opportunities. And if it does drop a little bit, yeah. For example, if we see the property price drop in August, is this person going to buy in August? No. What's going to happen? This person will think September will be even cheaper.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's going to happen? They are going to wait. They're going to wait to see what's going to happen. And in September, the price comes back. And they say, oh, the price comes back. It probably because of the different reasons. It could drop again next month in October. October results come back, increase again. They say, wow, I should buy earlier. You know, this kind of things, it could happen. No one can predict the bottom of the market. Even people, see the bottom, they wouldn't do at that time because they think it could drop further. So that's what I found from 2008. And be honest, I believe if people want to win the lotto, they have to buy the lotto first and hold the lotto to get the profit. Yeah. Without a lotto, the market drop and up. It's not your business. And so that's what I learned, from 2008. That people need to be able to handle the fear. And people can't handle the fear, people can't do investment. It's same for shares as well. If we look at Nasdaq shares, now it's back to the level of beginning of this year. People think shares drops, miss out opportunities. It's only 1 month, it comes back from 40% discount. Right? It's only 1 month. People scared of the losing, because they couldn't take the actions. And because of us, we'll probably talk about this later. Yeah? And that's why I said what I learned from 2008. People need to handle the fear. People need to understand the foundation of the market. And that's what I learned.
Yeah, that's really good. Definitely property is not a short-term thing. It's a long-term investment. If it's the investment, we normally look at more than at least 5 years, especially in Australia, flipping the property costs a lot of money. So you've got to pay the stamp duty, you've got to pay the agent fee, etc., etc. So that's very good. Let me raise a question. Let me choose a question from the audience. Candice has asked, rumor has it saying in next 2 years also a lot less visa and immigrant quota will be released to guarantee job opportunities for local people. In that case, less people will come to Australia from overseas. Will that affect the property market? Candice, from our point of view, like I said, from CoreLogic, it's going to affect most likely Sydney and Melbourne. The data suggests in Sydney, especially in the inner city area, they are relying on the international immigrants and also the international students. 36% of their properties are renting out to those people. Melbourne is roughly 34%, but well in Brisbane it's only 2%. So we don't think 2% is going to affect the Brisbane market as such. Maybe to Sydney and Melbourne a little bit. Okay. So Jane, it's about half an hour. We should move on. No worries. So we should move on to the next one. So here we know at some place we can offer special service and good incentives for the buyer. I think to conclude, to wrap it up, you can introduce some place in details and say what can we bring the values, what values can we bring to the audience and what value we can bring to our clients to wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. As a some players here, we define ourselves as a property service company. We never think we are just a traditional real estate agent, just selling the properties. And what we want to do is like we understand people buy properties. It's not just because they like this property for investment. Because if they like the property, it doesn't have capital gain. You couldn't rent out, and people wouldn't like that investment, right? So what they want is to get a return from this investment. And this return from investment can change their income structure, can improve their lifestyle. And one property is not enough. One property wouldn't change their lifestyle, couldn't change their income structure. And for us, we want to help them to change that, to build up property portfolio. That's the difference. So for us, we normally, when we talk to people, talk to investors, we don't say, like this is our projects, this is what we have. What we always ask them, what's your investment goals? We want to understand what they really need. When they say they want to buy a house, do they just need a house or they want to change their lifestyle? We need to understand that. To understand that, we can able to use our strategy to tell them what they can do. So for us, we provide a service to tell the people how to set up your financial goal. And secondly, people doing investment, they want to know their financial assessment. What does that mean is like we need to do the risk assessment for them. We do cash flow analysis for them to understand, like for the situation now, is any noise at the back? No, I can hear some noise. Yeah, for people like now, basically, we need to do the cash flow analysis for them so they understand, at the current situation, whether they have any financial burden to buy a property and whether it's easy for them to hold the property. Yeah. So that's why it's important to do the risk analysis, cash flow analysis. This way, people understand their financial situation, whether they can buy the next one, and the current one, whether they have risk. The next one, what we do is like we have our strategy to select the properties. Like the 6 criteria, what we look at is the first thing is employment. Second is job, basically it's population, employment.
I think your voice came from the 2 different devices. Which device are you using for your voice? So I can mute the other one.
Yeah, you mute
Junyi's photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it better? Is it better now? I can't hear very clearly.
No, I think you've muted the wrong. I think you've muted the wrong one, Richard. If you can mute the one that has his profile picture.
Yes. Speak again, Junyi.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Now it's good.
Yeah. Much better.
Yeah. Okay. So what I said here, to select area, like we have a standard. Basically, it's population, infrastructure, employment, affordability, rental return, and also supply. Yeah. So we base on this criteria to select the projects for our buyers. So people, if they go to look at the properties, if they don't know these 6 factors, if they never ask themselves what's their financial goals and what's their strategy to reach their financial goals and what's the cash flow analysis, people shouldn't do investment. That's why I always recommend people like to talk to our strategists to understand this before they move to the next stage. Yeah. So that's the difference. And also, for us, because we build portfolio for our investors, and we have, very good relationship with developers as well, because we do the wholesale, like we got lots of buyers. That's why when we talk to developers, sometimes we can get better deal compared to, buyer go to talk to developer directly. So we got that negotiation power. And,